Hey, Sav.
Hey, Shay, and bonjour, brand connoisseurs. Welcome to the Art of Branding podcast on the Team SCG podcast network. So, Shay, rate your day with minimal context.
7.5 and no context.
No context.
What about you?
I would say that I am at a 7.8. I kind of judged my office a bit.
Which is stressful.
Looks really good.
We haven't gotten to you yet.
I'm not existing right now?
No, you're not.
We haven't been introduced yet.
We haven't addressed the
I like
elephant
the
in the
banner.
room, but I guess I'll get there. So Shay, what is the elephant in the room today?
It is working with your wife, your in-laws, and all the things that come with that.
Family business, family dynamics. You guys have heard this a time or two, but now we have a whole nother layer. And honestly, maybe I should be sitting in the middle
Probably.
At the moment, but we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Gloves may be coming off, but we have the one, the only, the Brian Cohen. I'll let you segue this introduction.
This is, so we have Brian here, and it's going to be a really interesting episode because you've heard a lot of different sides from the family. You've heard, everyone's different perspective, but now you get to hear Brian's perspective, which he's in a very interesting role that not only does he have to work alongside me, who happens to be his wife, but he has to also work alongside his in-laws. And he was given a different task than, let's say, Justin, who you all just heard. We needed Brian to come in and build a book of business from complete scratch. And he came in completely, killed it, all the goals, all the things. And I'd like everyone to be able to hear about that journey and kind of how he's progressed from there.
Beautiful. So, Bri, welcome to the show.
Bonjour.
Rate your day with minimal context, Bri.
I'm going to go with you. I'm a 7.9 today. I'm a 7.9.
Jeez Louise, the one upper.
We'll take it. So I think everyone first would appreciate just kind of getting to know you a little bit. I know you well. The rest of the group does not. So let's talk about it a little in terms of kind of your career journey and the blissful decision that you made to join the family business.
Best decision I ever made.
Good answer.
I trained you.
Started, young Jew from Cooper City, Florida, Cooper City cowboy, born and raised down here. I think I always had a knack for sales.
I would agree.
I was slinging candy out of my duffel bag in high school.
Okay.
I was slinging concession stands at local Optimus fields.
All right.
And then I started selling stuff of more substance, started getting in the real sales world.
More substance.
But this is interesting because you were headed down a path to go in to become an attorney.
Forgot about that one.
I was good. Law school.
I was a fool who thought I actually enjoyed reading and writing all day, and was going to go to law school on that track. And I quickly realized after a long 2-day stint at a local law firm that it was not cut out for me. So I went back to just pivoted completely from there. I actually had my own family business, which is very unique. Local company in South Florida as well, been around a long time. And after a few years there, I realized I was looking to do something different.
What was the family business, Brian?
I was slinging hot tubs. We were a pool and spa company. And I was the hot tub guy, selling really high-end hot tubs. I really loved what I do. I was selling 200 hot tubs a year in the Miami heat. That's a nice book of business. I really enjoyed it, really enjoyed the day-to-day, but it just kind of got I wasn't enjoying it after 2-3 years of doing it. So after much discussions and talks, yes, I'm the fool that decided to consider working with his wife. A lot of naysayers, a lot of doubters out there. Understandably so, but I'd say overall it's an absolute blessing. I'm not even just saying that because I'm on this great podcast here, but it's definitely nice to be able to work with your best friend every day in and day out, and be able to learn from her. And we're building something very special here, so it's been fun.
He woke up and chose love.
I know, instead of violence. So let's talk about this a little bit though, because I watched your journey from the sidelines, obviously, and
because hold the phone here. Because you've watched his journey starting at what point?
Okay, so Brian and I met. Okay, let's go all the way back. Brian and I met while we were still in high school. We worked at a pizza restaurant called Ligori's Fired Up. And that's kind of where our story began. High school sweethearts. We ended up we went to the same school after a brief stint apart. And, kind of picked up right where we left off. And that's where I came into him in this law school journey where he was a really good student. So Brian never had to try hard in school. He was always getting, A's. It was weird if he got a B. And
I was good. I was a good finesser. I was more street smart than book smart.
And you liked it. And where you were working while we were in college, you were working at a law firm. But what you realized, I think a couple years later, was the part of it that you loved was in that case, you were selling cases, right?
Yeah, that was a big part of my life. I actually forgot about them at this law firm up in school where I was really fast forwarding on the law track. I was doing client relations and intake. Mom frantic calling up, son got a DUI, is in jail, sign him up, getting to meet with the attorney. And that was still at that time. I mean, I'm 18, 19 years old, handling hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue. And I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed working with my clients. I think that's when I really found the art of like sales and customer service and just taking care of your clients, and the rest will follow.
But you didn't know that yet.
No,
like in your mind, you were just in, the field that you were going to eventually go into.
Yeah, because that's like at that point, it's like, oh, like I want to be an attorney, and the part that I'm enjoying right now is in like the legal field. But what you enjoyed wasn't actually like the
law side; it was the client relations and the sales side, and that I think was a catalyst shift for him. And I actually watched him go through this, life change where he was going down one path and then said, like, hold on, I actually don't know if this is what I thought it was. And I thought that was like a really interesting time, not only for me to watch from his career perspective, but seeing how you can pivot. And that's when he essentially decided to join his family business, in which case we move into they're a pool and spa company, and somehow he ends up, in the position to be selling hot tubs. And I think what happened was the metrics like skyrocketed when he got into the game. And I'm sitting here watching all in the background of my journey, with the family business and all the things that are broken and all the stuff that we want to do. And I'm sitting here and I'm watching his process of selling these hot tubs and the follow-ups that are happening and the calls that he's making, and, how he's going about like not letting a deal go until it closes. And if he lost it, he's trying to figure out how he lost it, to who he lost it. He's studying his competition. He's doing all these things. And in the back of my head, I'm like, that's interesting. I'm like watching him go through all of this. And I know that whether it's him or someone like him, it's a sales approach that I didn't have. And that's kind of where my wheels started turning. Also that like, hey, I probably shouldn't be in sales if this is what sales really is. And although I did it well and successful, his love for the game, his passion, his like overall excitement that came from a new opportunity or didn't mind the fact that he called that guy 3 days ago and he's going to call him again, or he's going to call him until he blocks his number. That was like this thing that I did not have.
And it was a different industry, especially much different than we're in now. At times you felt like a sleazy car salesman, but still a lot of the same principles applied about just differentiating yourself and building that wall of preference and showing why we are different from just like here, there's lots of distributors that sell the same crap we do, but why are we different and why do we bring a certain value to the table? And that's why you should buy my hot tub. And that's where I think I learned the art. And from there, the rest is kind of history.
Okay, Bri. So at what point did you think like, I want to get into what Shane is doing, or at what point did you hear or you're listening to what she's doing and you're like, hold on, I think that I would want to be a part of this?
It's funny because I was always that guy that I probably still am, goes to a baseball game and they're throwing out that $2 Gildan t-shirt. I will fight a 5-year-old over that shirt. I want that shirt. I'm at that event. It means a lot to me. And I didn't even know it, but I was always on the receiving end of like what we're doing now. Like it's just, I'm the guy dropping a paycheck. I'm the richest guy in the world once I get to the gift shop or the pro shop at the concert or the golf course. I guess I didn't realize how much I love what we're doing. So I think I always knew, but I guess after a lot, the timing was right. And I actually helped out SCG at some trade shows that I think I was undercover a different employee that needed some manpower. So I was there and I got my feet wet in the industry and I was like, this is some cool stuff. I think
that's actually a great story. So we got engaged in 2020 and went to Vegas for a trade show that we did for a client every year. And it was being mixed as like an engagement trip as well as we have to go there for work. So we ended up going with my family, and my mom and my dad always worked this show together. And when Brian had come with us, we weren't just going to leave him in the hotel. So I'm like, great. Like I actually have some real manpower out on the floor because my mom and my dad kind of like to take it from the sidelines sometimes. So I was excited, and I was basically like, I don't need you to know or understand or do anything, but you've heard me talk about this in passing a lot. Like, if you can just tee it up for me and help me understand who is an actual prospect and who is just trying to grab our giveaways, that's all I really needed. And I see him in action, and he hears me like one time basically give the pitch, this is what we do, and a couple of qualifying questions to see, do they go to the left or to the right? And then I like watched him kind of run with it, and I'm like, okay, this is actually a real possibility here. He's flying at this point.
Was Jeff, right?
Maybe. I don't remember.
I think I went by Jeff.
Could be. Wait, why'd you go by it? Oh, because
we had to register like an employee. Yeah, I know. But that was my first glimpse into like, okay, we're stupid if we don't consider this. Like, he is just naturally, and I don't know if it was at this point we're together for 8 years. So I don't know if it's just being around my family and understanding what we do in such a context, but I'd never seen somebody be so comfortable with the unknown. And literally when he gets to a stopping point of like, I have no idea what this person is talking about, it's like, hold on just one second. If you can just give her a minute, she'll talk to you about this, this, and that. And it was my first glimpse into what a tag team relationship between me and Brian could look like.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So this is obviously at the beginning of 2020, and you're like, okay, let me start this entirely new career working for my wife's family business. And then obviously the pandemic comes about, and that's insane. So speak to that.
Waking up in cold sweats at 2 a.m. about your hand sanitizer and face mask inventory was something I hope we never have to experience again. It was wild.
And that's like
I guess that's when I first, that came right when I came on board, and it was strictly just how many hand sanitizers and masks can I sell this week? And that's all I was laser focused on. That's all the industry was. And then thankfully, we got out of it.
I guess where did this decision come from? I think it was about timing of, his own family dynamics that were going on in the background and what was going to happen with that family business. And then also he, as my husband, is witnessing my struggle and seeing what I'm going through in terms of the hypergrowth and, the problems that I'm having, and the fact that I want to step out of sales and I don't have anybody that I could pass my book of business to, that he knows I'm controlling. He knows all of my ticks, right? So I don't have a confident path forward. And the timing for me and him was going to be centered around both. It was the right time. And also I think he knew I needed it. So it was like a take one on the chin. And, we had plenty of conversations about, the difficulties that might come up ahead. I think more than working with your wife, it's working under the eyes of your father-in-law, your mother-in-law, my aunt, my uncle, all these different people that, he now has to join and survive in that arena.
Of course. So, Bri, you get into it. And obviously, where you are now versus where you were then, quite a lot has happened. So, everybody's kind of had their own growth journey from here. So how did you start day one, and kind of speak to the journey of how you've gotten to where you are now?
Was first, evaluating these big logos that Shannon's been working with forever, but maybe, there's definitely a lot more room to grow there per se. So really focusing there, and how do we continue to penetrate those logos? And then I think for new logos, started at some of our local powerhouses. I was always a, walk in the front door, show face type of guy. So cold calling and hunting a lot of local businesses. Don't really have my strike zone yet. I'm just going after anybody that buy anything from me. I'll never forget taking Shayna.
And he never gets offended when they say no.
I'll never forget taking Shayna to a local cookie shop that I thought I was going to have a couple $100 order, and I was just on the highest high of all highs. Took our current CEO to bring me to this cookie shop to, beg and plead for this business. But over time, I think I really learned what, the type of business we want to go after, our strike zone per se, and started really focusing in on those. Brought in a couple really nice sized books of business that are still to this day great clients of ours, and just continuing to stand out from the rest. I mean, as I'm looking at our current book of business, the sky is just the limit because of all these amazing logos that we have, and how do we just continue to be good to our clients, and the words will spread, and we'll continue to grow within these accounts.
I think that's actually one of your superpowers, though, that like I realized right away was the word of mouth that was happening from the way he was servicing accounts. And this is interesting because you two actually come in pretty much at the same time.
Yeah, I'm probably like 6 months after Bri.
And I'm watching the difference of like, you guys are both doing the same thing and successfully in your own arena. And the difference of how each person tackled it. This was my light bulb moment of there's like a million roads to Rome. and all I got to do is make you all speak the same language, and then whatever accent you put on it, I don't care. And also what I was starting to realize is as I would give him more and more of my book of business, I'm watching the progress that it's going to make when it's handled in this different way. So part of my fear was like, no one's going to handle my book of business the way I would have done it. And then he comes in and I very quickly realize, oh, okay, wait, he's actually going to do it better, because it wasn't my passion the way it was his. You just had this like drive and hunger about you that I never really had. If I got the sale, it was great. If I didn't, I'll get the next one.
The clothes never gets old.
Well, one thing about you, Bri, is you are by far our most passionate promotional product / merch nerd.
Hell yeah.
So you are so passionate about the product itself, and you have such a deep understanding of product knowledge in ways that like very, very few people are passionate enough to know the ins and outs of the product features and all the fixins that go along with it. What is it that like makes you tick about these products
and about the industry?
I think one of the things I enjoy is just how every day is we're selling something so different. And I think no matter if it's a 50-cent koozie or a $50 JBL speaker, or just seeing that finished product with my client's logo on it is just what still hasn't gotten old. I mean, everyone knows I'm running to the dock to check on an important order I've been waiting on, just because I cannot wait to lay my eyes on it and yell around the office how fire this item is. So
what's interesting about all of this is like I'm training him, and we're doing these trainings late at night, right? Like it's like after work hours, all the things that I'm watching him.
Cheesecake Factory, what that imprint method is in that waiter's shirt.
It was the craziest first 4 months. Like just the way he studied it and the way he had to like fully master the industry before he could get his groove and feel confident. But then very quickly after you got there, that's when you just start to skyrocket up, and it became noticeable that his method, his metrics, all the things that he's doing, it works. And you very quickly became one of the top sales reps in the company, one of the highest client success and satisfaction sales reps in the company, and the least amount of errors out of our entire sales team.
That boy meticulous.
Including Savannah.
Oh, don't compare our order processing. Come on.
It was
the CSRs might hear you and they'll cry.
It was night and day. But I thought it was really cool kind of to watch your journey. So let's get into the juice of it. Good, bad, and ugly. So what was your experience and like some of the harder things about working out our dynamic and, working with and or for your wife, and then having to we try to like leave it at the door? And
that's the biggest thing. You say it. That's the toughest thing, leaving it at the door, separating, home and work. Sometimes it comes home from the office, which it shouldn't. But other times it's the benefit, because when we're, when I need your help, I can holler at you after hours.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, do I.
Boy, do you.
That's how you keep the love alive.
Yeah, baby.
The love for promo. No, but I think that that's like one of the biggest struggles. But if I were in your chair, I'd say the biggest struggle is like working with my in-laws, because it's not just me. And like me and you have this ability to, I know when you're at your wit's end, and I know when to push you versus when not to push you. I don't think my family has that insight.
This is family business to a new level. I mean, my previous family business was just me, my father, and my uncle. Whereas here it's, as Shanna mentioned, my wife, my brother-in-law, my uncle-in-law, my aunt, 10 more to name, down to the dogs at one point. We missed the dogs in our office. So yeah, it's a lot of family, but it's try and stay in my own lane, come in, head down, do what we got to do, get to work, and we work out all the kinks along the way.
The problem was that Brian came into the company right before our hyper growth point, so our lanes have been so blurry and so undefined for pretty much the entire journey of us working together. And he's coming up on 5 years in January. And I've never really I've never had the ability to give him fully defined lanes of like, this is you and this is me. It's constantly changing. The landscape of what we're doing and who we're working with is constantly changing. So I'd say that's been even recently, like just a really big struggle of trying to say like, okay, just because I'm jumping in here doesn't mean that you are incapable. It just means that this is where I shine and I don't shine in this area.
This is where my lane begins and yours ends.
Yeah. So I think that's one. And then I think the other, really big thing is remember like the main thing. And the main thing is that me and Brian are on the same team, not only from a marriage perspective, but also from a company perspective. And we want the same things. We're shooting for the same goal. So a lot of times you're going to disagree on how to get there. But if you can stop what you're doing and remember that you're on the same team, it gets a lot easier. And I also heard something that we haven't tried yet, but if you put on a party hat when you're fighting, it's hard to fight.
Brian, a party hat.
Or you lay on the floor.
Yeah, or you like have to literally like get on the floor, lay down, and then continue your conversation. So we haven't gotten there yet, but we have put those in the like emergency filing in our brain to where like if you see us just laying on the floor and talking, that's
if you have a party hat in your bag, I'll know that something's up.
That's why it's tough, guys. Like I'm not gonna lie, you know, my dynamic with my dad versus my brother-in-law versus my husband or my uncle, like each one is so different. But what I'll say about my dynamic with Brian is there's this like unwavering trust that he has not only our company's best interest at heart, but my best interest at heart. And there's never been a time or a decision that you've made or a time that you've spoken on my behalf where I have to question that or even think like, you know, where was your head with that? You're always channeling, well, what would Shayna want me to do or what is going to be in the best interest of the end goal here? So I think if you keep those top of mind, and I just wouldn't recommend it if you don't have a strong foundation. Brian is my best friend before he's my husband or before he's my employee. So I think if you're going to enter into this arena, make sure your foundation's strong and you have a better chance.
Oof. It's a lot.
Well said.
Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%.
That doesn't mean that it's perfect. It's definitely not.
No, my gosh, no, there's no way that it could be, right? Like, I mean, most
and
people.
What's that experience for you? You know, like obviously you can tell when Brian and I are smooth sailing or when there's some tension in the air. So like,
I mean, the thing is like at this point, like I have like my individual relationships with you both. And I know you both as like a couple too. I mean, I think that at this point, I'm just so used to it. And I also realize like you guys have known each other. The most important part and like the biggest like piece of this all is you guys have known each other and grown up with each other since you were children. So
Yeah.
like the way that plays into not just your marriage and what I observe of like your marriage, but like what I observe of you guys like working together. Like it's really cool to see because I think that you guys do have this really like symbiotic relationship because you guys have evolved together. You have grown into your own identities together, but also separately, but definitely together. And so, you know, that definitely plays into the work situation of it all.
It's a conscious effort, I'd say. And I think, you know, what me and you have to do at this point is like actually decide, like if we're going to go on a walk or something, we have to actually decide that we're not going to talk about work. And that's the one downfall I'll say is like, there's no, it doesn't turn off. Like it's literally, and I know this is like the common theme with my family. And truly, I think we're the problem. I don't think this has anything to do with him. I just don't think that we know how to turn this off. But that's the part where it's like it's hard for me, and I'm sure it's hard for him to not be able to have those two buckets. I think most people have this is who I am at work bucket and this is who I am at home bucket. And they're a lot of times independent of each other.
Oh, but entirely.
With me and Brian, like I know if he's having a bad day at work, he knows if I'm having a bad day at work, and then we're going to go home and talk about who's making dinner and who's going to do all the things. And it's just, it's a balancing act is what I'll say. But a lot of people that wouldn't find comfort in it, like that was a selling point for me. Like the amount of, you know, flexibility that we're going to have. I think that, you know, we just had a baby last year. So I think that.
Shout out Mason.
Big 1 year coming up.
Exactly. Because of our flexibility and because of this tag team that we were able to do in terms of like, you're going to handle this, so I'm going to handle that, made it so we were able to keep the business moving. I had all the trust in the world in the team, knowing that, you know, I think he came back to work 2 weeks after he had the baby. And that ability to just have my partner and my spouse in such an intricate role in my company brings me a deep, deep level of comfort. I know it comes with some discomfort, and I'm sure he's very uncomfortable a lot of the time, but the comfort that I feel of having him in the role, I think outweighs pretty much everything else. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, well said.
Thanks. So what would you say let's talk positive. What is your favorite part about working for the family business?
Definitely the flexibility it offers for sure. And that I'd say overall, I mean, it's a great family. We're very close outside of work. So I think the fact that I'm very close with everybody in the family definitely makes it that much easier in the day to day of the office.
What about with your wife?
Shay is I think one of the brightest, youngest minds in the industry. I think everybody would agree with that. And we are just very, wife aside. I mean, I've never even met her before. I mean, we're just very, we're very lucky to have her on our team for sure. She just brings a wide array of just badassery and just.
I paid him for this part.
Yeah, no, she's a good leader for us for sure. So
thanks, Bri.
We need more subscribers, by the way, so we can get better chairs in here.
What do you mean?
If there's any, I don't know.
These chairs are for the aesthetic.
I can tell for sure. Great looking chairs.
I told him he could roast us if he came on the podcast.
Please like, follow, please share with your friends. We need viewers. We need subscribers. We need sponsorships for new chairs.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course, Bri. We'll have to have you on again soon. Thank you so much for coming, and make sure you all like. I mean, Brian already did. Yeah,
I was gonna say, is that his plug of saying like, okay, we're done?
Yeah, we're done here. I got to get back to my inbox. Okay, Bri. Like, subscribe, follow along as Brian mentioned, because apparently we need new chairs. Even though I really like these chairs, they're cute. They're cute and aesthetic.
They look good.
They look good. But anywho, au revoir, brand connoisseurs.
Bye, everyone. Say bye.
So long. Thank you.